Virtualization provides many benefits, such as hardware independence, efficient use of resources, and scalability in private cloud scenarios. It also provides flexibility when you move virtual machines across virtualization infrastructures. In the past, when administrators virtualized domain controllers, they had to be familiar with ADDS specific requirements, so that they could avoid adding risk to the ADDS infrastructure. When using virtual domain controllers, consider the following best practices. Avoid single points of failure. Ensure that you have at least 2 virtualized domain controllers per domain on different virtualization hosts, which reduces the risk of losing all domain controllers if a single virtualization host fails. Also, diversify the hardware, storage networks, and storage systems. Ensure that you maintain domain controllers in different data centers or regions to reduce the impact of disasters. Verify time services. Ensure that all computers, including the hypervisor host and domain controller guests, are participating in the same time services infrastructure. Also, ensure that the time on the host and on the guests does not differ. Use virtualization technology that allows for virtual machine generation identifiers. Only virtualization infrastructures that support the new virtual machine generation identifiers also support the safeguards and cloning of virtual domain controllers. Use Windows Server 2012 or later as the guest operating system for virtual domain controllers. Only these versions support the safeguards for virtual domain controllers. Avoid or disable checkpoints. If the virtualization host or the guest operating systems of the domain controllers do not support the safeguards for virtualizing domain controllers, disable the possibility of creating checkpoints. You can do this by using a pass-through disk instead of a virtual hard disk, for example. When there is support for the safeguards, use a virtual hard disk to support cloning, but avoid using checkpoints. Strive to improve security by ensuring that the virtualization administrators are as trusted as your domain admins. Consider taking advantage of cloning. Cloning can be a deployment or a recovery strategy. It helps to provide a fast and simple way to create many domain controllers in a short time. Clone in batches of 10 at a maximum. Do not start more than 10 new clones at the same time, because the file replication used for sysfil allows only 10 replication connections at the same time. Consider using virtualization technologies that allow you to move virtual machines across site boundaries. This can be beneficial in your deployment and recovery strategies. For example, you can create 10 clones in a central location, and then move them to remote offices during off-peak hours. Adjust your naming strategy to allow for domain controller clones. For example, allow clone domain controllers to retain the first 8 characters of the source domain controller name, and then attach CLNNNN.